Okay, so just as a reminder, we still have our designer series paper sale happening at the moment. That goes until the 2nd of August, so you can get 15% off a selected range of designer series paper. There's 9 packs that you can purchase from. Some of it is Christmas paper, some of it you've seen with me use here before, hand penned, in good taste. There's lots of other lovely ones there as well, so please head over to my shop and you will find that there, and you'll find my shop on michelledutrissa.stampinup.net. Okay, the other thing that we have coming up, turn this around the right way, is Expressions in Ink paper pumpkin kit, which is going to be available here in Australia from the 11th of August. Now, if you've seen me use the Expressions in Ink products in our annual catalogue, where I've made some really lovely cards, don't have any here on me at hand to show you. Let me just get the catalogue and I can show you in the catalogue. And that was these ones here. I've made quite a few cards and I've run a couple of classes on this as well. So what Stampin' Up have done is they've brought out a paper pumpkin kit, which is Expressions in Colour. And it is based on this particular suite that we have in our annual catalogue. So it's the same alcohol ink look. So I can't wait to get my hands on this one. I think it's going to be great. As I said, available from the 11th of August, and it's only while supplies last. So if you are interested in this, grab on, jump on pretty quickly, or let me know and I can order one for you. But if you go on to michelledutrissa.stampinup.net, you'll find the shop, and as from the 11th of August, you'll find these in the kit section. So worthwhile having a look at, and to make some really lovely cards. But yeah, I can't wait to get my hands on that. So there's that, and there's the paper sale at the moment as well. The other thing we have happening at the moment, of course, is our mini catalogue, which will be going, sorry, I'm just having popped these things away somewhere. Mini catalogue, which will be available from the 1st of August. If you don't have a copy of this, please get in touch with me, and I can get one for you if you're here in Australia and sent out to you. And also our Sale-A-Bration Catalogue. So when you spend $90 out of our annual catalogue or our mini catalogue, then you can choose a product for free from the Sale-A-Bration Catalogue. But also in the Sale-A-Bration Catalogue, there are products in there that you need to spend $180, and then you can get one of those ones for free. So what I thought I'd do today is I've made a card using a product from the mini catalogue. Now, this is the Delicate Dahlias, and as soon as I saw this was a must-have. I think, from memory, I could be wrong, but I think this was one that you had to spend $180 to get, but well worth it. So what I thought I'd do, what we're going to do today is I'm going to show you how I made this card. And this card uses another product out of the annual catalogue, which is the soft pastels. It's an assortment of soft pastel chalks, and when you open up, you get all these beautiful chalks here. So the colours in this, I'm going to read this so I don't get it wrong, is Coastal Cabana, which is this one here, Daffodil Delight, Gorgeous Grape, Granny Apple Green, Mango Delight, Mango Melody, sorry, Mossy Meadow, Night of Navy, and Poppy Parade. And we're going to be using both the Poppy Parade, the Mango Melody, and the Mossy Meadow today for this card. So let me just pop all these items out of the road, and I'm going to show you how I created these cards using these chalks. Now, these chalks are in, as I said before, in our annual catalogue. Let me just grab it in here. It's in the accessories at the back. And if you go to page 126, you'll find it here down at the bottom, and it's $15.75 for all those chalks here in Australia. So you've got 8 beautiful colours there to play with. So I watched a video, I can't remember the lady's name now, I'm sorry, I will pop it into my blog, who I watched the other day, and she showed some really great tips on using these chalks, so it was fantastic. So to start with, you need your silicone mat for doing this. And what we're going to do is we're just going to scrape off some of these chalks onto our mat. And I'm just using the spatula end of our Take a Pick tool and just using that just to lightly scrape off some colour. Okay, it's just going to leave a chalky residue there on your mat. Now you will need to have a paper towel handy just to keep your fingers a little bit dry, or I just dampened my paper towel a little bit just to clean my fingers because the chalk will spread very easily. And we're just going to scrape some more off this one. Now what we're going to do today is a little bit like a one-page wonder, where we're going to take a piece of A4 cardstock. I need quite a bit of this. You can always come back and get some more if we need it. We're going to use a piece of A4 cardstock or letter size cardstock if you're in the US. Okay, so I'm just going to pop those to one side. So I've just scraped off 3 different colours there. I also have got here 3 daubers, and these are daubers that I'm going to be using. I'll put them away in the little plastic bag. It was a great tip that I learned from this lady's video I watched the other day. She bought a pack of 5 daubers, but I mean you probably would need 8, have 1 for each of the colours. So you'd best to get 2 packs. And then she just keeps them all in the little plastic bag that they came in, so they're actually kept separate from your ink, and so she has them whenever she's doing some of this chalking. So we've scraped a little bit of our colour there onto our mat, so I'm just going to pop that to one side. You probably could just use a piece of scrap paper as well, but for this we're going to be using the silicone mat. It comes in very handy for that. Let me just remove those cards so I don't get chalk on those that I don't want. And as I said, we're going to be using a piece of A4 basic white cardstock. So let me just wipe my hands down. I'm just going to squirt a little bit more water on my paper towel here just to make sure my hands are clean. Now I did a little bit of playing with this when I started. I started thinking that I might just cover the whole, because what we're going to do is we're going to actually stamp our stamped image in Versamark, and then we're going to colour our Versamark using the chalk daubers. Sorry, I should have explained that before. And I started off by thinking, okay, I'm going to stamp the whole lot in Versamark, but as you know, you can't see Versamark. It's clear. You can see a slight image of it, but I ended up with probably a little bit of a mess. So what I ended up doing was just working on one image at a time. So I'm going to take my Versamarks and we're just going to work on one flower and leaves at a time. And so we're going to get our Versamark, make sure it's probably nice and juicy. We're going to ink up our stamped image quite well. Now these stamps are photopolymer, and normally I would recommend that you use a mat underneath, but I decided to just, because I've got a large pad here of paper, I decided that's probably going to be actually quite enough for what I'm doing. So but you could put, normally if you're using photopolymer, you would put a mat, such as a pierce mat, like this one I've got here, underneath your work, and then you would stamp on top of that. Well, since that's there, I might as well just keep going. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to stamp that one there first. So you'd stamp that. Now I'm just going to remove that because I am going to get a little bit of chalk everywhere and I don't really want it on my piercing mat. So I am just going to continue working on here. And I'm going to get one of my daubers, and it fits onto your finger quite well. And let me just bring in these powdered chalks. And I'm going to start with the Mango Melody and just lightly tap it over where I stamped. And you'll see, just like magic, that image is starting to appear. Now I'm trying to keep it within the area that I stamped, because you could imagine you will get powdered chalk everywhere and your paper won't be as nice and crispy white. Not that that really worried me that much. Once I've gone over it with that Mango Melody, you can actually just very lightly blow that away without blowing onto your powdered chalk there. And I'm just going to add a little bit of the Poppy Parade in there, just to give a little bit of tone. So I've got a couple of, just a nice little bit of colour in there as well. And just blow that away. Now the other thing you could do to get rid of that excess, if you've got a very soft blending brush, this is an old blending brush that I picked up from Target, I think it was, before we brought out ours, but you could use that just to brush that very lightly away. But just remember that if you're using a brush or something like that, it is going to spread some of the colour and maybe even make the colour stay on your cardstock. So once we've done that, we're going to stamp a couple of leaves around it. I'm just going to stamp 2 here. And then I'm going to bring in a little bit of the Mossy Meadow chalk. Okay, just doing the same thing, just tapping it on. Now, as I said, I'm just trying to tap on where I stamped in Versamark, because that colour will carry anywhere else. Just blow that away. And then you just keep working and stamp the next image. And this way too, I can see where I've stamped before. Just want to get rid of that little bit of that powder just there. And really, when you're brushing it off with a brush, just really use a light hand. And I'm just going to pop that one there. And then this time I'm going to add a bit of the Poppy Parade. Just working very lightly over that, just so I can see where my image is going to. This time I want to add a little bit of Mango Melody to this one. Again, just blow that away a little bit, give that little bit of a brush, and just keep working and building up. Keep wanting to put my stamp to the ink rather than the stamp pad. When you've got a stamp which is bigger than your stamp pad, you are better off actually taking the stamp pad to the ink. And I'm just going to, don't mind having a little bit of space, don't want too much, but I do want to fit maybe another leaf in there, so we're just going to pop that one down there. And again, just start adding your colour. Now, I'm not seeing any comments at the moment. This did happen to me a couple of weeks ago where I didn't see any comments that people had left. So it wasn't until after the video had finished that I could reply to people. So please don't think I'm rude if I'm not seeing your comments at the moment. I will get back to you. You can see by just slowly building up colours on this, starting to build up quite a nice. I'm just going to use this brush just to get rid of that. So I hope you're all having a lovely day today. It's sort of a bit funny weather here. We've got a bit of rain, but the sky's sort of like a greyish blue at the moment. It's not real dark out there. I think it's trying its very hardest to rain. Just remember when you do work on pieces like this, which are in between other things, that you are going to, because it's a powder, it is going to spread a little bit. I don't know whether you can see, but with this flower here, some of my petals of my actual flower has picked up a little bit of green. So I'm just going to go over it a little bit on that area there, just to take away the green a little bit and just to hide those. I just think it's amazing how that Versamark just clings to that powder. Now you can, when you've finished all of this, set your colour. You can use hairspray for it. There are products out there in the market, in the craft shops, that you can use to set chalks. The cards that I did, I sort of ran my fingers over it, and I really wasn't getting any excess chalk off. So I think the Versamark is actually holding that chalk really well. You can see this is probably a little bit of a time-consuming thing to be doing, but you could get some nice effects. And by doing it this way, you're going to get, by doing a whole piece of A4, you are going to have enough to make at least 4 cards, depending on the size cards that you want to make. Let's add some more of our Poppy Parade. This sort of reminds me a little bit of fabric. It's got that really nice sort of tone to it, and some I suppose that even the flower, it's an older style flower, so it gives you that nice vintage sort of look. So you could make even really nice vintage type cards with this as well by using this technique. This is probably the first time I've actually tried using these chalks and achieving something that I feel actually quite pleased with. Add some more leaves in here so we can sort of start building up some of these areas. As I said, it's not really a quick method of card making. I'm just going to pop another one in there so I could at least do those two. But anything worthwhile is worth taking your time and slowly working on it. Another good thing about doing it just a flower or a leaf at a time is you can remember where you actually stamped it. Stamp a few of these off your page. Make it a little bit more vibrant if you wanted to by adding a little bit more colour. Okay, let's do a couple of more. I might not get this whole piece of A4 finished, but at least I can do half of this, and we can then cut it up and have a look at it and make some cards out of it. You want to keep a little bit of space in between each one because you want to be able to fit those leaves in. Put a little bit too much than I wanted in there, but let's just blend that a little bit more. Definitely need a few more leaves in here. Now this is just one way of a few different ways of using these chalks, and I'm sure as I learn myself how to use them, I can share them all with you. I must admit I am thoroughly enjoying this particular technique. Now I will have this video on my YouTube sometime over this weekend. So if you want to watch it again or share it, please do, and let people know that it will be also, besides being on my Facebook channel, will also be on my YouTube channel as well. I want to put a little one there and maybe a little leaf there. But it'd be great if you could share this with others that you think might be interested. Just need a few more leaves, I think. Maybe down in here. May even have to designate this Versamark only for chalking. It just depends whether I'm getting much chalk. I have to assess how clean my Versamark pad is after doing this. But as you can see, it's starting to build up quite a nice background for cards. And I don't think you need to fill it in all the areas. Here there are a couple other stamps on the in the set, which is there's a little small single flower and some very tiny little leaves, but I actually quite like this big one, and I don't mind having a bit of white space around it. So as you can see, you can keep working and building that up. I think I've done enough of that at the moment that I can cut this in half, and actually I might just add one more there, because I do want to cut this in half and make some cards, but I don't want to be left with any sort of white space if I possibly can. So let's just put another flower just in there for the time being. And we'll colour that one up. And use yellow, what I've got left of it. So you can see there I've used up quite a bit of that chalk. Just going to add a little bit more Poppy Parade in there, just to add a bit of density to that. Okay, so let's cut this in half and let's make a card out of it. So we'll just remove all of these out of the road, and let's bring in our trimmer. So I'm going to start by cutting this in half, which is at 14.9. Oh, I probably didn't really need to do that last flower, but anyway, there we go. So that's our half a piece of A4 cardstock. So now I'm going to cut this down to a card front size, and the card front size I like using is 10 centimeters by 14.4, but I want to mat this, so I'm going to cut it down to 9.7 by 14.1. So I might take the 14.1 off this side. do we want to go to 9.7? I'm going to start from this way. Excuse me. I'm just having a look at my design when I'm cutting too, to just sort of work out where all my flowers are going to be positioned and how I'm going to use it on the card. So there's one there, and then this one here at 9.7. Remove that little piece. Just put that back on my Versamark so it doesn't dry out too much. Re-ink that up later on. So there's my two card fronts. I then have a piece of Poppy Parade. Now I just will need another piece of Poppy Parade, and I've cut that at 10 by 10.5 by 29.9 and scored that at 14.4. Now just let me grab, I'll see if I can do a trick that I did the other day without having to stand up. I'm either going to have everything come down on top of me in a minute. That's okay, got it. So I've got two pieces of Poppy Parade, so that's half a an A4 sheet cut in half. As I said, cut it in half at 10.5, and I've scored them both at 14.9. So we can fold both of those in half and use my bone folder just to burnish those. Now I already have some basic white here, which I've cut these pieces down to 10 by my 14.4, and we're going to adhere these two pieces on here. Now you could take this up a level and run this through with an embossing folder. I thought earlier you could use the Tasteful Textile 3D embossing folder to give a really nice sort of, just a subtle sort of texture to it, which would always look good as well. So we're just going to mat that onto there. And before I go much further, I just want to grab this and just give my fingers, they're feeling a little bit gritty. Give them a bit of a clean. Okay. So it's going to give that a bit of a rub. And I'm also going to mat this one as well. So line that up. Now I thought also too what we could do is put a little bit of ribbon around that. Now I do have some of the crinkle ribbon here, and I'm just going to pop a piece of this. I need a piece about that long. Need two of those. And I'm just going to use the seal, and I'm just going to take, that's going to be now, which is going to be my bottom. I think I'm going to make this part here my bottom. So I want to put a piece of seal, a little bit of seal, about an inch from the bottom on each side. So it's about there. And then I can use that. I like using the measurements on my scratch paper to help me line these up. So we'll do that to both of the cards. So work out which is going to be my top, which is going to be my bottom. I think that just needs a little bit more red just there. And I might make it go that way. So again, use my measurements on oops. Oh, that's just, I've got Seal Plus here. Didn't really like it. Okay, I'm having an issue with my seal. That's okay. We'll just pop that lid back onto there and I'll fix that later. And I'll just grab the other one I have here. Take that around. We go about. Oops. Okay. Didn't get any. Oh, the same thing's happened to that one. Oops, that's it. I think I fixed it. That's better. Okay. So just make sure it's about an inch that side. About an inch that side. I can bring that up just a little bit more, I think. Okay, so we've just got that onto there. And we're now going to adhere these to the front of our cards. I'm not using any dimensionals on this one. I'm just going to adhere this straight to the card front. I might just get rid of that bit of extra ribbon. There's one. So any of your stamps which are a distinctive stamp, because that's what these are, they're a distinctive stamp, which should come up the same sort of way. So because it leaves you texture that defines the flower, rather than using lots of different stamps and lots of inks to get the different depths of colour. It's all reliant on the texture in the distinctive stamp. It's a very clever stamp or way of making a stamp, I suppose I'm trying to say, that Stampin' Up have come with. Now I'm just sort of got a little bit of chalk there. I just wanted to soften that line. I'm just using just a regular rubber to do it. I just cleaned it down a little bit first off. You can, there are chalk rubbers out there, and I do have one, but I couldn't find it today, that I bought years ago. So once we've got that, now we need to put some sentiments. Now I've already pre-stamped a couple of sentiments here. The stamp set comes with 4 sentiments, and the sentiments they've got is thank you kindly. Oh so happy for you. You inspire me, and sending heartfelt sympathy. So the card I did earlier today has got sending heartfelt sympathy. So I thought I would do the other two. And one is you inspire me. So what I've done is I've stamped that in Memento Black onto my basic white, and I've used two different punches for this. Let me just remove that. So I've used the Banners picker punch to flag my ends, and all I'm going to do with this one here is put a little bit of glue. Not too much, it's probably a little bit too much, so spread that out a bit. And I want to pop that onto my Mossy Meadow banner that I've made. And I'm just going to trim off that end so it all looks the same. And then that can be just adhered to on there with a couple of dimensionals. And then the other one that I've done is I've used the double oval punch. So let me just pop a couple of dimensionals onto the back of this one. I'm just going to take that across there. Oops. Just like that. And this one, as I said, I've done the double ovals and I've used Thank You Kindly, and I've punched out the backing, the scalloped oval in the Poppy Parade. So I'm just going to pop a little bit of multi-purpose glue on the back of that, and then some dimensionals on there. That onto that. Now I'm just going to make a couple of bows. Oops. Now I do want a fairly small bow, I don't want them too big. If you're happy with that, you can trim that down. Just angle cut those tails. So we need a second bow. Oops, this one's not wanting to play with me today. There we go. This crinkle ribbon is beautiful, and you can easily colour it too if you wanted to colour it to match your cardstock. Need to trim that one down just a little bit more. I think my scissors need to be cleaned. We've got a huge amount of glue stuck to them. Okay, so we're going to use some mini glue dots. pop that one about there. Oops, stuck to my fingernail. Actually, I might just see if I can lift him without damaging my ribbon. I'm going to turn this one around, have it going. Which direction, maybe? Maybe a bit an angle like that one. Put that underneath there. Okay, so there's 3 cards. Now what I've done with this one here, just on the inside, I've just added a piece of basic white, again cut at 10 centimeters by 14.4, and then this strip here that I removed earlier, you can just take that, cut it down to size, and then add that strip onto the bottom just to give you a nice, whoops, doesn't want to sit up for me, a nice finish to your card. So that's my cards for today. I hope you've enjoyed that. I've still got this one to finish off this afternoon, and these 2 pieces, 3 pieces here to make some more cards out of. But a fun technique. I really enjoyed playing with this today. As I said, it was my first time having a go at this. I will post the link to the person's video who I watched and how she did this earlier today on my blog on the weekend. I hope you've really enjoyed it, and I hope you will be able to join me next week. So just let me flip this camera over very quickly, won't be one moment. Hi Lainey. No, I didn't use a fixative on it. I found that I think the StazOn is holding the chalk well enough, but you could by all means use something like a hairspray, but I'd only spray it very, very lightly, because your hairspray could tend to turn it a bit yellow. Not that it really matters being a card, and generally I suppose most of us will probably throw them away after a little while, but yeah, it doesn't seem to be spreading as much chalk as I sort of expected. I hadn't done anything like chalking for a long, long time. I did a lot back in my youth, and I remember using hairspray then to hold it, to fix it. But yeah, no, this seems to be holding at the moment, so I'm quite impressed with it. So I hope you give it a go. So as I said, thank you very much for watching. I hope I can see you again next Friday. Join me in making some more cards and maybe trying something new again. So have some fun and create some wonderful things. Bye for now.